Today, we are going to talk about the Dominion Energy SC rate hike, the Public Service Commission, and how to make your voice heard against this hike. My name is Anjani Morrow, and I use she, her pronouns. And I am the Special Projects Coordinator at South Carolina Appleseed Legal Justice Center. I have a lot of colleagues on this call, so thank you all so much for being here and your help. I want to call out a few folks. Shatari Dunmore is our story collection organizer, and she will be monitoring the chat. And Misa Bailey is our healthcare project manager, and she is in the Spanish channel, and she'll also be moderating the chat in Spanish. We also have our litigation attorney, Adam Prothero, here. He has a lot of experience intervening on rate cases and energy policy work. So both of us will be available for the last 15 minutes of this presentation to answer any questions that you might have. For the purposes of time and logistics with Spanish interpretation, we will answer your questions at the end of this presentation, but feel free to put things in the chat as they come up. Okay, so first, y'all need to know who we are. We're South Carolina Appleseed Legal Justice Center. Some of y'all know, some of y'all have worked with us, and maybe this is your first time on a meeting with us. So we fight for low-income South Carolinians to overcome social, economic, and legal injustice. We are a policy advocacy organization based in Columbia, made of a small team of program staff and attorneys. We partner with individuals and organizations, both statewide and nationally, to advance public policies that enhance the lives of low-income communities in South Carolina. Our focus areas include healthcare, education, housing, food insecurity, energy justice, and consumer issues. Now, unlike traditional legal services that are supporting folks on a one-on-one basis, our approach targets long-term systems change. So we're addressing root causes of issues like transforming policies, systems, and structures. We focus on maximizing impact through the courthouse, legislature, administrative agencies, and we do community engagement and media outreach. Our approaches include litigation, lobbying, public education, and community outreach. So the reason why we're having this presentation is part of our community engagement and community outreach efforts to share what Dominion Energy is asking, and then how you can help inform this decision to the Public Service Commission by attending a hearing. So Dominion Energy South Carolina, which I'm sure most of y'all have Dominion Energy as gas or electricity or both. They have put in a request to the South Carolina Public Service Commission for a general rate increase, and that could start as soon as July 2026. And things around a rate increase can get very technical, but for the purposes of this presentation, I have tried to make this very simple. Not just for the folks that are on this call, but for myself as well. I'm also a Dominion user, and so it's really good to know what your rights are when something like this occurs. So here is what the company is requesting from residential customers. So about a 12.73% increase for a typical household. What they consider a typical household is using 1,000 kilowatt hours a month. You can look at your bill actually and see how much you typically use. But consider the winter and the summer months to be higher usage. And this rate increase is about $20 more every month or $240 a year for a typical household. They're also asking for a higher profit level for the company from 9.94% to 10.5%, and the ability to adjust rates each year to stay at that profit level. Now, just those numbers may not seem like a lot, but this is like, consider this in the millions. They are also asking for a higher basic facilities charge. So this is a flat rate. This is the amount you pay before you use any electricity. So they're asking for a raise from $9.50 a month to $13 a month. And this tends to hit people who use less power the hardest, especially folks that are older and living alone or households with low income. If approved, this increase would affect more than 820,000 households statewide. For people that are on fixed income, limited incomes, higher bills, and I'm sure a lot of us are seeing higher bills in everything now, it can mean making tougher choices about purchasing food, groceries, medication, housing, and caregiving. So, why does this matter to you? I think I've talked about a lot of the reasons, but families could pay around that extra $20 per month. And it might not seem like a lot to the commission, maybe, but it's really going to impact households carrying more of the load. So regular customers may end up covering more costs, while large companies may actually pay relatively less. Um, and it's also more profits without clear benefits. Dominion boosts shareholder returns, like we saw, but it's not really clear what improvements you'd see on your bill or in your service. This is why it's going to be so important for people like us, everyday customers, especially folks that are low income, have a fixed income, and are already struggling these last few months, this last year in maintaining their bills, to really show up and speak up at the PSC. So, what is the PSC? It's people. It is the Public Service Commission of South Carolina. It operates as a 7-member, it's considered a quasi-judicial body. It regulates rates and services for privately owned electric, gas, water, wastewater, telecommunications, and transportation utilities like Dominion and Duke. They are elected by the General Assembly. So commissioners review these findings, they hold public hearings, they review the utility filings, hold public hearings, and then they issue orders within their specific legal timeframe. And they're supported by agencies like the Office of Regulatory Staff. Each commissioner, so there are 7 commissioners, each commissioner represents each congressional district in South Carolina. If you go to their website, you can see who represents your district. These are the new commissioners for this year. Some have been reelected, some are new. And most of the commissioners look like this, the majority do. But I encourage you to go to the Public Service Commission website to see who your commissioner is, how this process really works. But we're trying to really be able to explain to you in the case of this general rate hike. So the Public Service Commission of South Carolina, again, it's a state agency. They decide how Dominion Energy and other private utility companies are allowed to charge you. This does not include co-ops. So we're really looking at this with Dominion because of this particular general rate hike, although Duke has also asked for general rate hikes in the past, but for this particular timeline. So Dominion Energy has put in a request for these rate hikes. The PSC must approve it. And what the PSC will do is they will do a public hearing to learn concerns of customers. And then they also hold what is called, it's a docket or a case. And that is where he'll hear from lawyers, technical experts, and industry professionals. So in a rate case, in this general rate case, they get a request from the utility. So Dominion Energy has put together this request. You will get an email from me in a couple days with all of these materials and resources. And if you really want to geek out, there is a portion of their website that goes into the entire docket. You can read it. You can read exactly what they're requesting and see what's been presented since today. So the PSC will hold public hearings so customers can share how the proposal will affect them. Then the PSC will review evidence and testimony from the company, consumer advocates, and continue with the public. And with all of that together, they will make a final decision, which could accept, it could reduce, or it could reject all parts of this request. So attending the hearing. I think I saw someone from Aiken on this call, and I haven't put it on this website, but on this slideshow, there is also going to be a hearing in Aiken April 28th. But I'm focused on the one in Columbia as well. You can go to either. It is going to be Tuesday, May 12th, 2026. And they are doing two different sessions. So a 10 to 12 and a 5 to 9. It will be in the South Carolina Public Service Commission hearing room. And I'll show y'all a picture of what that room looks like so you can be a little bit more like comfortable before going in. And it's at 101 Executive Center Drive. I don't know if y'all know that space. It is off of Malfunction Junction. So if you're planning on going there, plan on some traffic as well. To the folks not from Columbia and don't really come to Columbia, it's a lot of traffic that side of town. So in order to attend the hearing, you must pre-register. You can register when you're there. However, I highly encourage you to pre-register. It takes no more than 1 minute. And know the docket number. So this is the docket number 2025-325E. And you don't have to only get there in person. There are other options of showing up. But I want to, well, actually, let me say this first. You can also call the PSC to ask to submit a public comment. You can also send an email. Please share this out with all of your family, friends, or any groups that you're a part of, because we really want people to be able to share their story and their testimony. So I want to give pause for a couple minutes. Y'all don't have to do it during this presentation. And my colleague Bach actually put the link in the chat as well. Thank you, Bach. It will show a smart sheet, just a form, to fill out your name, phone number, email, address, and which session you'll be attending. And you can join in person, via WebEx or by phone. In the resources that I'll send you later, I'll share all of that with you, including that phone number and the extension you'll need. So I want to give everybody just a minute just to pull it up, get it in. You don't have to fill it out, but if you want to, you can. If you pull it up, it'll be in your web history. You can go back into it. Again, I filled it out right before this presentation, and it took me a minute. Okay. Um, Moving forward, for those that would be attending in person, just want to be able to lay this out for y'all. I want to do a special shout out to Jalen, who is on this call with Conservation Voters South Carolina. They have an awesome short presentation on YouTube that helps you understand what to really expect when you're there in person. And so I took some of this from their presentation. So thank you, Jalen. And I'll also attach that link to our resources. So this is what the building looks like. There's plenty of parking. You'll see that 101, and once you enter, you will be able to see a sign on where to go for the Public Service Commission. And many of you may have testified at county council meetings or city council meetings, or even at the state house. This will be set up a little different. It's set up more like a court. So I want to be able to give you that disclaimer before you go in. And it's like, whoa, what is this? um, and so this is what the inside will look like. And the 7 commissioners should be sitting there. However, some do join via Zoom. I recommend whatever is the most accessible for you, whether it's written testimony, showing up in person, attending Zoom, but there's nothing like a packed room. Okay, some tips on what to bring. Bring your most recent Dominion bill. Or a few months of bills to showcase how much you're utilizing in energy, what it looks like during the winter time, the summertime. You can share how much your electric bill is currently, and also on how, and then your write up for your testimony and any notes. And in the next slide, I'll give you an example of what a testimony can look like. And it's up to you to craft. It's your story to tell. So what to expect is that you will be expected to sign in with your name. You will need to wait to be called. It may take some time. So, I just recommend, sticking it out, staying there, being patient. Now, I have said that the meeting is on May 12th. However, if there are a lot of people that sign up, they're going to open up another day on May 13th. And you can, again, with the resources I send you, you'll be able to see when they open up that day as well. And you can, that's a good question for myself. Maybe we can ask it later if you would have to pre-register again for that date or if it automatically registers for you. I would imagine you'd have to pre-register for that too. Again, you will have time to speak your testimony. You will be sworn in. And the time limit, about 3 minutes, is what they give folks to do public testimony. All of your comments are going to be on the record, and it is used for that final decision making. They're going to take everything that they're hearing to make that decision. And these public hearings are really designed so regular folks like us can talk directly to the commissioners who are making the decision. Um, I would also recommend arriving a little early so you have time to put your name in or if you need to register. Wait until your name is called. A hearing officer or staff person will call folks one by one. Um, you know, again, with the time limit, keep it short, keep it focused. Um, and everything you say is recorded and it becomes part of that official case file. And you don't need to be a technical expert. Commissioners want to and need to hear how this increase is going to affect your life, your everyday life. And that's really what these are designed for. Okay, so I put together a little, and this is again from our friends with AARP. They put together an awesome toolkit that I have been using some of this for this presentation. So I have to shout out them for this. But when you are crafting your testimony, first introduce yourself, say your name, say the town and city you're from and the street name you live on. You don't need to give your exact street address, but they need to know that you are in this. They're a service. Dominion is a service provider for you. Um, and if you'd like, you can add something short about yourself, like, I'm retired, I am a single mom, I am caring for my spouse, whatever you want to be able to share. And explain how your electric bill affects you right now and talk in plain language about it, about the budget around your bill. How much is your current bill on average? One of the things that always comes up in these meetings is commissioners will say, well, are you turning off your lights at night? Are you keeping your thermostat higher in the summer? What are the steps you are taking to save? And that needs to be said in your testimony if you want to as well, because that's a common rebuttal from the commissioners. So tell them the steps you are taking to be able to keep your bill low. Um, and they may even ask if you're on a payment plan and things like that. They may not. But anything that pertains to you and your electric bill, feel free to share here. Um, and then it's also important for you to describe how you're going to be impacted by this increase. You can talk about some of those important expenses for you that's going to be really hard to juggle if this increase stays, or gets approved, like medication, groceries, housing, transportation, caregiving, general health care expenses. And, $20 might not seem a lot, but someone on a fixed income where they're already paying $20 for their medication, like it could make you have to change, your prioritize your decision making. So, some other tips is be yourself. You don't have to use fancy language. Speak the way you normally talk and stick to your experience. You don't have to explain the details of the Dominion proposal, but you can share, how it is really going to impact you, um, and focus on your energy costs and how it affects your home and your community. Be respectful, even if you're frustrated or angry, which, it happens. It happens to me a lot too. Staying calm and respectful helps commissioners to hear your message. And bring your comments written. If you're nervous, write them down. Take some time to practice reading them out loud. Because sometimes when you have something written down and you're reading out loud for the first time, it might not make exact sense or speak true to your voice. Um, you can also hand in a copy so it becomes part of the record. and encourage others. Invite your friends, invite your neighbors, invite people in your Facebook group, your faith community, caregiving group, your spouse. Um, I have a lesson that was taught to me is if you're ever doing something that makes you nervous or scared or anything like that, is bring an ally in the room, have an ally in the room. So if you are able to do that and encourage other folks to come, that would be great. So I want to, oh, and then finish your testimony with your specific ask to the PSC. Now, these are all suggestions, all tips to get you started. Uh, so, what I'm saying are examples of this, but you can share. I just made up this example is, hello, my name is Sarah. I live in Columbia, South Carolina on Maple Street. With a proposed average increase of $240 a year, this rate will make it difficult for me to afford groceries and basic needs for me and my children. I already keep my thermostat higher in the summer, lower in the winter, and do what I can to keep my bill low. I am asking you to reject this rate increase, or at the least keep the rate increase to a minimum to protect consumers and customers. Thank you for your time and for listening. Do with it as however it feels right to you to be able to share. And I guess one other thing I want to share is we'll share I keep saying we're going to share some additional resources. So if you have anything like a billing dispute, there are ways to be able to do that. Not a part of this process, but there are a lot of other ways to engage with the PSC and with the Office of, oh my gosh, Regulatory Staff. So now I am going to open it up. Thank y'all so much for attending. And once again, this presentation is going to be recorded in both English and Spanish. We will be able to upload that on our website, send out an email with those links and all of the different resources for you. And I'm available for any questions or concerns you have. Feel free to reach out to me via email. And yeah, I want to open it up to questions. I'm here, and Adam, our attorney, is here as well to ask any questions regarding the rate hike and how to share your voice. Let's pack these rooms, whether it's a Zoom room, phone calls, or in person.
We have some raised hands.
Oh, I'm going to end oh, I am, okay. All right, I stopped screen sharing. Yeah, Sam, you can unmute yourself and.
Yep. So I had a couple questions that I thought of whenever, I guess kind of early in the presentation. Um, First was, are they going to increase the business charges as well? Okay.
Yeah, so there's 3 different rate increases. Let me know if I'm saying it right, Adam. It's residential, commercial, and industrial.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
But yeah, they are proposing increases to all the different customer classes, commercial, industrial, residential, like big users, small users, all of them.
So this is going to be an inflationary pressure all across this region then.
I think it's right to say that, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. The other two are a little bit more, I guess, technical. What was the last facilities charge increase? When's the last time that they bumped up the facilities? And what, 9 to 13? Has it been a couple years, or
I do not know the answer to that question offhand.
that's fine. I mean, it's
yeah.
like I said, very specific, but it's
Mhm.
it's one of those things of like, you want to call them out where it's kind of crappy, but at the same time, you know, small increases like that, if not too frequent, aren't necessarily outrageous. And then
Yeah.
again,
It's currently 950. I want to say that they were looking for like 13. But they've asked for an increase to 13. And that
Yes,
really affects folks who use less energy, because then like if the basic charge is higher, every single kilowatt you use is actually more expensive.
mhm.
So yeah, it penalizes efficiency in a way.
Yeah, I think it would if we're going off of kind of the average from last time, it would take that 240 and pretty much bump it very close to $300 a year in the estimated increase. And you know, just again, kind of general question, do we know the level of profits that other organizations get? Like, is this an industrial, like is this an average that's typical? Are they asking for something that is more than other quasi monopolies? Um,
Yeah, I mean, from I haven't done like a comprehensive sort of study of that. I think the number that they're asking for is like 10.5%,
mhm.
is higher than most other authorized rates of return, um, in for other utilities, at least in the southeast. Uh,
Perfect.
yeah.
Okay. That is the question that I had. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for being here,
Sure.
Sam. Erin, you have your hand raised?
Yeah, and thanks for putting this together and putting this on, and thanks to Sam for actually asking a couple of the questions off my list because I was wondering about some similar things. Um, sorry, going back over my notes to see where I still had questions. Has Dominion offered a public justification for any of this other than we want more because we want more? Um,
I mean, I don't know about their PR and media. In terms of the testimony that they filed with the PSC, their justifications are typical for rate cases like this, which is, they say that they've spent all sorts of money on, building and maintaining the service delivery systems that they provide, that, fuel costs have gone up, that, yeah, it's kind of the typical justifications I think that you see here is it's just, the cost to provide the service has gone up, so we have to ask for more money is what they would argue, I think.
which is certainly an argument I mean, I understand them making on the base charges and whatnot. It's an interesting charge on. It's an interesting argument to try to apply to a margin increase of
Mhm.
we've built all this stuff so we get to make more profit and not necessarily have to build as much of it. Um,
Mhm.
Particularly, I mean, I watch things like the lack of planning that goes
Mhm.
into their disaster response, where they at least in Aiken, where I am, they're pretty open about the fact that they don't plan for disaster response.
Mhm.
They just, whoever yells the most gets the first response. And funny thing, that's always the wealthiest parts of the neighborhood that seem to come back online first because
Right.
somehow they manage to yell louder.
Mhm.
But there's no plan. The hospital is low on the list despite being near the delivery lines, or
Mhm.
the lack of list because they don't yell as well, I guess. Um, I think the other thing that I was wondering about is just, Sam talked a little bit about kind of some of the similar numbers for similar stuff, but do we know, you said the co-ops and Santee Cooper don't fall under any of this, but do we know what equivalent numbers are for them when we take out the investor incentives? Do we know where they have asked for? I mean, they have to have margins too. They have to have reserves
Mhm.
for down years and other things that are just the ebb and flow of the industry. But
Yeah, in terms of equivalent rates. I mean, I don't know that it's been a few years since we've been involved directly in some of this work, so like some of my knowledge is dated.
that's
I
fair.
think in general, nonprofit electric co-ops rates tend to be lower than investor-owned utilities. I think that statement can be made kind of broadly, but as far as specific to like the co-ops that serve here, I don't know that number offhand.
Okay. Yeah, just for context, I actually work for a California CCA, so I'm
Okay.
coming up to speed and learning these things and learning. I've only been there about a year now, so
Mhm.
but I'm also learning the California versions of all these debates. So
Right.
I appreciate you all helping me learn about the South Carolina version since that's where I live.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
I want to speak to a comment in the chat for interpretation as well. So Jalen put in the chat, according to the Office of Regulatory Staff, the authorized average return on equity for utilities like Dominion was 9.84% in 2024 and 9.86% in 2025. You can follow that link to learn more of ORS's testimony. So I think that answers Sam and probably yours too, Aaron's question.
Yeah. Thank you very much for that, Jalen. I appreciate you putting that in there. It's...
How are y'all feeling? I'll send out another email about that, but are there any questions around, showing up, providing testimony, any resources you think you and your community may need to be able to do that? If you're comfortable sharing here, if not, feel free to send me an email.
If other folks don't have questions, I have a question similar to those lines, but I want to give other people space first.
Aaron, I think you can go ahead and then
Okay.
we'll keep it open.
I was just wondering about the strategy choice by choosing to focus on the one hearing. Was that just time and geographic convenience, or was there a other decision? As the person who you're like, hey, look, there's someone in Aiken.
So we have been engaged in this work in years past, but we just re-engaged in this space late last year, earlier this year in the energy justice work. We know that there have been other hearings in North Charleston and Aiken and some other place, I think Beaufort. And so yeah, we're a little late to the game. So that's why we were focused on, making sure folks are there in Columbia and now Aiken on the 28th. There were a lot of different things telling me whether if that meeting was going to happen or not. And additionally, I think pre-registration is by May 5th for the Columbia meeting, and for any that are coming up, I'm pretty sure pre-registration is over. So we're just re-engaging in the space, getting up to speed, and that's why we're focused on this one that's coming up next. So no other particular reason, Aaron.
Thank you.
Yeah, Sam.
So since we last met on stage, I decided to put in for a congressional run against Joe Wilson in the Republican primary. And so between that and, my access to 5051, um, uh, how much of an issue do you want us to make it? Because this is certainly very much within our interest and purview. Certainly, I was digging through my opponent's FEC filings, and certainly he's received um, money from the Dominion Energy PAC. And so, when we talk about looking out for people, I think this is exactly what we're talking about. This is it's inflation, right? We're already dealing with inflation. It is going to impact South Carolina families. And is this appropriate timing? So again, the question is, I'm willing to make this a fairly big stink because this is going to be in the middle of primary season. But I don't want to upset y'all and step on toes. So should I run with it?
Sam? First of all, we'll connect after because I live in that district.
Yes, ma'am.
Second of all, let's have a conversation about organizing around this. I know that there are some awesome organizers on this call right now that have been organizing very strategically on these issues. If there's any resources that I could provide on helping you organize your community around these issues, let's have a conversation.
Yeah.
Afterwards, knowing that we have 12 minutes. I appreciate your passion and your enthusiasm, and it's not necessarily stepping on our toes. Once again, when I shared the tips and the template, that's an example, and want to give you the framework to know how to advocate at these hearings. It is it can be up to you on how you want to organize and frame your testimony.
Absolutely.
I would also encourage, looking at some past testimony from other general rate hikes. They're on the website recorded. But when it comes to organizing around this, again, I want at Appleseed, we want to make sure people are knowledgeable, know what their rights are, and provide any resources that we can within our capacity as an organization. So I can always connect you with folks after, and then I'll reach out to you as a private citizen when I
Understood. Thank you.
commit.
Ajani, I was sent a question. They asked about previous hearings that are similar to this one and the impact they had on companies like this.
I would love to pass that to Adam, because he's worked on something, I think,
Can you,
even worse.
Can you run it by me again?
Yes. So the question is previous hearings similar to this one and the impacts it had on companies like this.
I mean, rate cases like this are pretty common. I mean, the last one Dominion did was from 2024. The different Duke companies have done them in 2024 and 2025. I mean, they're pretty common things. I would say that generally speaking, what tends to happen is that the utility asks for the moon and the stars, and then they get maybe the moon. They tend to get a little bit less than what they ask for. If that's a helpful answer, I'm not sure how to answer it beyond that though, because they're such common proceedings.
I don't mean to put you on the spot, Jalen, but I know that you're also working on getting people to testify at the PSC for the Edisto gas plant. I don't know if you have anything that you want to add here, because I feel like this person who is asking for, like, does this make a difference? Is this, bringing some hope?
Yeah, I can jump in here. Would be happy to. Yes, so unfortunately, there's no more opportunities to testify against the Edisto gas plant at the PSC, but there were two public hearings on that where people showed up and they packed the room and they had really strong testimony. And I think it made an impact on commissioners. Like, they asked some of the things that came up over and over again in the hearings. Like, they went back and asked questions about those things to the utilities. They also were quoted in the news a lot and kind of helped shape the media around the gas plant. People's testimony was highlighted that way. So there's always something going on over there. And I just really think showing up to the public hearings, like, it's it's a big ask, but it has a really big impact. So yeah, I hope people show up to this one as well.
Yeah. And maybe I think probably I misunderstood the question. And I'll just echo what Jalen was saying there. I do think it does really make a big difference. I remember one of the first cases I was involved in was when the VC Summer, the cancellation of the VC Summer project. There was a lot of public outcry about that, and it really matters. And it really matters in terms of you can hear it in the commissioner's questions to the other witnesses. Um, Remember that, I mean, the public service commissioners are appointed by the legislature, and I mean they're I call them politicians necessarily, but like they're political animals. They understand the politics of what's going on here, and if they know that people are going to be calling and emailing the legislators that appoint them, um, they hear that, I think. And they're folks that are also trying to do the right thing. So, it matters for them to hear these stories. It really does.
Thank you both. Yeah, I know y'all have a lot of experience in these cases, so really appreciate that. Are there any more questions? Oh, well, someone put in a nice comment. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, awesome. Thanks, Rebecca. Thanks for joining. Okay, well, once again, y'all have all registered for this Zoom, so I have your emails. And I'll be able to send out any resources, toolkits, the recording of this, and you'll be able to have my contact information. And please let me know if there's any questions you have, any other resources we could provide. And I really appreciate my SC Appleseed team for providing a lot of support for this meeting, and really appreciate Adam, who just came back from a long vacation to jump right in and support all these questions. And Jalen also, and some from CVSC with their resources, our friends at AARP, and then the Union of Concerned Scientists have an awesome English and Spanish toolkit that I was able to use for this. So just want to shout out everybody. I'll give you 4 minutes back of your evening. Hope y'all can chill and do those fun things that I asked about what you do in the spring. So take care.